Podcaster Bingo forgets what episode she's on. Hello my dears and welcome to episode 45 of the Knitting Pickle podcast. We're getting close to 50, aren't we? Should we do something special for 50? I think we should. Welcome to episode 45. My name is Laura Penrose. I'm a knitwear designer and content creator, and I'm here with a feature-length podcast because my goodness, I've got a lot of projects in front of me and a lot to talk about. It's been a while. I was planning on podcasting sooner than this, but life happened and I ended up doing a little vlog for you guys. If you haven't seen that vlog, please do check it out. It's just a lovely, homey, where I'm at, what I'm up to, kind of a little bit more personal kind of vibes, a little look into my garden, a little look into just what's going on for me at the moment. But today we are going to go hard on the knitting. But before we do, just wanted to say to the people who watched that previous vlog, I've got some very sad news. Despite your emojis, the cucamelons didn't survive. Okay, well, one cucamelon has survived. My cucumbers did not survive. Too early, too cold. Fortunately, I've got some backup plants and I'm just gonna hold out a bit longer. But yes, RIP cucumbers. What a shame. And also thank you to everyone who gave me gardening advice on that vlog. Honestly, I'm such a newbie and it's like so helpful. Normally I'm not one for unsolicited advice, but I'm like, give it to me, tell me what I'm doing wrong, I'm here for it. I've removed my red peppers from my tomatoes. They are now separate, you'll be very glad to hear. I didn't have the strength to remove the flowers from my strawberry plants so that I get more next year. I just couldn't do it. They're just too pretty and I'm just too excited for strawberries, so never mind. And then finally, thank you for all the lovely, supportive, sensitive, helpful comments and messages I've received off the back of that vlog. I got very vulnerable. I opened up about where I am in my ADHD and autism assessment journey, and it's difficult at the moment and really quite a struggle, and woo, we're not gonna cry. And I was just inundated with messages of support and help and advice. I was completely overwhelmed by it. I've not been able to respond to any of them yet, I don't think, but please know that I have read them all and I appreciate them all. Honestly, I am feeling so much better, and yeah, I'm just really grateful for the response on that vlog. But we're not going to go too deep into it. Go and have a watch if you want to, but yeah, thank you to everyone who tuned in and left me a beautiful message or comment. So we're going to go into the knitting straight away now because I've got so much to show you. My goodness, I've got 2 finished objects and some whips, a brand new whip that's a little bit crazy, which I did touch on in the vlog, but things have developed since, and yeah, we should probably just get straight into it. Hang on, before we do, we've got a little announcement. We've got a giveaway winner. In the last video, in the last podcast, I launched my Jacques scarf, it went really, really well. The launch was fantastic. It surpassed my expectations, which is always lovely, and it's just been wonderful to see everyone's versions because it's such a quick knit and like all the different things people can do with them. I've seen some without stripes, I've seen scrappy ones, I've seen hand spun ones, beautiful. And as part of that launch, I was doing a giveaway for this lovely little collection of Cardiff Cashmere Classic. Now, I've not got it with me. Let me get it. Yoink. This is my version of my Jacques scarf in the Cardiff Cashmere. The red is Hermes, the white, I can't remember what it's called, but honestly, so luxurious, so gorgeous. Obviously, the other 2 versions are in cotton because they are like a spring summer vibe, and this is cashmere. So even though it's woolly, it's still very light. The gauge is much lighter on this one than the cotton ones, and it's just beautiful. I love it so much. It's one of my most worn ones. I find this goes with most of my outfits. So the winner will be able to make their own version with this exactly like this, or they can do the half and half version, or they can use it for whatever they like. I will not be offended if you don't want to make a Jacques scarf with it. So the number of comments on that last video, my goodness. Many entries, so thank you to everybody who took part. I did an online random generator, screenshotted the winner, and the winner is Sherry Knits. Congratulations, you have won 3 lovely balls of Cardiff cashmere and the Jacques scarf pattern. If you have already purchased it, I will either refund you or I'll send you another one of my patterns of your choice. So if you can send me a message either via Instagram or my email, which is in the description box below, we can arrange getting your prize to you. Well done, congratulations, and thank you to everybody who entered. Before we move on, please, reminder, I will never respond to one of your comments saying you've won a prize. I will never ask you for postage. I will never ask you for your bank details. Please be aware of scammers. It is not me. I will never ask for anything from you other than your posting address if you've won a prize. So let's all be safe on the internet, people. Okay, yay, that's the giveaway done. That was fun, wasn't it? So let's go into finished objects. So I've been working on a special little project, and it's a 2-part project and 1 part is finished. The other I'm just holding on to for now. I have a friend who is due a little baby girl any day now. It's very exciting. I'm just waiting to find out, waiting to hear. And I decided to make their baby and them a little gift because baby knits are just the most fun. And I decided, after hunting on the internet for a nice baby blanket pattern that I felt like doing, I thought, what are you doing, Laura? Just make a sweet shop blanket, for goodness sake. You've got loads of this beautiful pastel scrappy yarn. You've got the pattern, obviously, you wrote it. And it had been a long time since I had done a sweet shop blanket, and I also felt like the pattern is probably due a little bit of an update. The update isn't ready yet, and I am still planning on filming a tutorial. As I said, life has gotten a little bit in the way recently. I've not had much quiet alone time to film in silence, and you need those conditions for a tutorial, but it's on my list for this week. And I'll show you that I will show you that now. It's not finished yet, but you can imagine what it's going to look like when it's finished, because it's just going to be like this, but a bit bigger. So this is my baby sweet shop so far. It's currently 4x4. I think I'm going to make it at least 5x5, if not 5x6. Don't really know yet, it depends when the baby arrives, but this is where we're at. It's slightly different to the original pattern. I've adjusted the stitch count a little bit, so my triangles are a little smaller, and I think I might put that into the new version, because the original sweet shop, which is here, was designed to use 10 grams of yarn for each triangle, and for this one I used 7 grams of yarn for each triangle. So you can see, can you? The difference in size? There you go. It's only slightly smaller, but this uses more like 7 grams. So helpful if you've got smaller scraps and things like that. So yes, I might add those numbers into the pattern along with yardages and everything. I've not quite decided yet, it depends. But that's where my little version is at. And my plan is to border it with an I-cord to match its accompanying little thing, which I have finished apart from sewing on 1 button. But to go with the baby sweet shop, I've made a little cardigan. It's so cute. It's just the most adorable thing in the world. It had so many ends. Can't even tell you. So it is a top-down garter stitch raglan baby cardigan. Very, very simple. I made it up as I went along. I'm sorry. Haven't written a pattern for it. I don't know if I will. Who knows? My daughter has asked for one, so we'll see. But for all intents and purposes, it's just a garter stitch raglan baby cardigan, and there are many similar patterns out there already. My go-to for children's patterns is Sandra Agelhas, which I will link below. She's got so many beautiful baby and child patterns. It's what she does, it's what she specializes in. I've knit many before, I've tested for her. Just gorgeous. So if you're looking for classic beautiful baby cardigans like this, I highly recommend you check out Sandra's work. So I just did a baby raglan. I did a little bit of short row shaping in the back, because even babies deserve short row shaping. And I basically, when I finished a triangle in the blanket, I put the rest into the cardigan. Now there's one little moment where these 2 greens are different but can you really tell? The green on the body and the green on the sleeve are slightly different because I did not have enough of this, but again, I don't think you could really notice, to be honest. It's got a kind of slipped stitch raglan, which I just absolutely love. I just love this look in garter stitch when you have these lovely, beautiful like knit stitches here. And I carried that down the side seam and underneath the arm as well, because when you're working garter stitch in the round, you get a little jog like when you're working stripes. And by having this kind of faux seam here, it hides that little jog. Now, there is something I would do differently about this, and I can't quite believe I didn't catch it. But where my raglan finishes, so this was my split for sleeves, and even though this is the sleeve, we kind of end up with these stitches just like ending here. And I wish I had continued these slip stitches just in this little section of the sleeve, and I would have decreased these stitches into the faux seam at the underarm, just for perfection. Again, not going to be noticeable, probably not at all. Like the people who receive it like wouldn't even know, but for me it just bothers me a tiny little bit that it just kind of stops here, and you can see the garter there, but you know, can't get it right every time. I finished the edges with an I-cord. I literally picked up stitches all the way along the edge, all the way around the collar and all the way down again, and did an I-cord bind off. It took me a couple of goes to get the needle size and pickup rate right, and I can't even remember what the pickup rate was, so that's helpful. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I think I, in hindsight, also would go down a needle size because the I-cord edge is looking a little chunky for my liking, and I think, yeah, it would have been nice on a slightly smaller needle. And what I did when I got to this top corner is I worked 2 extra rows of I-cord between picked up stitches, leaving this teeny tiny little buttonhole here, and I'm just going to put 1 button here and just have it closed at the top, kind of like a little jacket. I don't think it needs buttons all the way down. As someone who has raised 2 children, I always remember with the little babies, you need to be able to kind of help them moderate their temperature, and like jumpers, getting them over heads and all that kind of thing can make that tricky. So just being able to pop open, you know, they're in their pram, they're in their whatever it is, and they fall asleep and they get really warm, you just need to be able to pop it open and, you know, cool baby down if need be. So yeah, just thought it's adorable, and honestly, lots and lots and lots of buttons on a baby, tricky. So just 1 cute little button. I don't know what type of button, maybe a little wooden one, I don't know, but there you go. That's the baby cardigan. Weaving in the ends on the front was tricky, and it's not the nicest from the inside. I think what I might do if I was more of a perfectionist is I might face that with a bit of fabric, maybe hand sew on a little facing just to cover up those ends, but there was no other way of doing it really. I mean, it does create like a double thickness fabric here, so you could, if I was to do like traditional buttons and just have like a raw edge, it would be great for sewing buttons onto because it's thicker and firmer, so you could put the buttons down here and have the buttonholes on the other side, but I couldn't decide how I want to finish it, so I didn't want to commit to buttonholes whilst I was working it. But there you go, that's just another option. So cute, I cannot wait to give it, and just like what a cute little set. So when they get to like autumn, winter, baby can have a little cardigan on and be tucked up in the little matching blankie. Yay! I'm so excited. I've enjoyed this project so much. So that's finished object / whip number 1. I'm gonna have a little sip, my very watery iced coffee. So next up I have a pair of socks which are finished, and this is a pair of socks that have been on the go for a long time, over a year. But they were quite a special pair of socks, and I really enjoyed working on them. I found myself all of a sudden last minute being in an hour-long car journey and needing something to work on and didn't have any yarn wound up, so that's when I started the second sock because I had the yarn ready to go and everything like that. So here is my latest pair of finished socks. Oh, I love them. It's making me want it to be autumn. Now these are a very, very special pair of socks because I got this yarn from Peak District Yarns last year. This time last year, a little bit earlier than this time last year, when I went on a little knitting holiday with my knitting friends, and it was the first time we had all been together, all 5 of us in the same room for a couple of days, not at someone's wedding when someone was getting married or someone couldn't make it, and we just had the most wonderful weekend. My friend Caroline was expecting a baby and we just got to be together, and it was lovely. It was so nice, and the place we stayed in happened to be 2-minute walk from Peak District Yarns. So this is yarn hand dyed by Peak District Yarn. I don't know what the bases are. I know that this was like a monthly club colorway, and I'm not even sure if this is a specifically sock yarn, but I wear through actual nylon sock yarn anyway, so doesn't really matter to me. And I try to be as gentle as possible on my socks. I tend not to wear them in shoes. I just wear them around the house as slippers, but I also wear actual slippers now, which I'm hoping will help my hand knit socks last a little bit longer. But this yarn combination, which is this kind of beautiful red squirrel, burnt umber, kind of rusty colour with this little hand dyed mini, which I wouldn't have put together. I cannot take any credit for this yarn combination. I know these in my head as my Caroline socks because my friend Caroline chose these colours. I had a different combo in my hand and then I saw hers and I was like, I'm well gel and I'm gonna get FOMO. So can I just copy you? Which I did. And she had a slightly different mini but of the same vein, and she made, I think she made some baby, she made some baby items with them. I think she made some leggings, maybe herself some socks. I can't really remember, but beautiful, beautiful combination. I decided to make some ribbed socks, and these were kind of just a make it up as I go along, but I've ended up with quite possibly my most perfect pair of socks ever. I never follow a pattern for socks. I just know my own numbers in my head that work for me. These were knit on a 2.5mm needle. I'm now down to a 2.25, so I would really like to make these again, but in my smaller needle size, so less stitches, more stitches, I don't know. But these very much just kind of happened. I just decided I wanted a rib sock at the time. I ended up doing a 2x1 rib, so it was more knit than purl. And when I first did it, when I first cast them on, I was walking at the time, and I ended up doing a really long cuff by mistake, like double the length of this, and I hated the way they looked after I'd done the stripes, so I decided to fold over the cuff in the end for like a double thickness cuff, and I just whip stitched it down with the tail. I didn't even have enough tail to go fully all the way around, but that really doesn't matter when they're on. And I absolutely love the look of them. The stripes look very, very wide when they are not on the foot, and they are intentionally wide because every time I tried to do this kind of sporty stripe in a sock before, I always ended up doing it too thin, so when they are stretched on the leg they just almost disappeared, or the line in between disappeared. Now I did 10 rows for the stripe, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it would appear. 7 for the middle, and yeah, that was my magic number apparently. So when they were on, shall I stick them on? I think they just look perfect, and I'm so happy with them. I did a heel flap and gusset, and I've had a bit of a heel flap and gusset moment recently, and I also did the heel flap and gusset a little bit different to normal, and I'm just ending up with the most, it's always so hard, the most perfect fitting sock. I mean, they're just so comfy and beautiful, and look at the lines, they're like the perfect size once they're stretched around the leg. The folded cuff is so comfy and lovely and cozy, and they just, they fit like a glove, but should we say they fit like a sock? I don't know, but yeah, oh my goodness, I love them so much. So my heel flap and gusset, what I ended up doing is I maintained the rib in the heel flap, And for my actual gusset decreases, I really wanted that pearl line from the rib to continue down here and to be at the edge of the top of the foot. So at this point, normally you would have like a line of knit coming down here for your decreases, but I really didn't want that. So I ended up kind of switching up the way I did my decreases. So where you would normally have a knit two together, I did an SSK instead, and the same on the other side. And it just made this really neat, beautiful looking heel flap, in my opinion. And I absolutely love it. I love everything about these socks. I'm considering writing them up. I've been discussing this over on my Patreon, and I feel a bit like another ribbed sock pattern. I know a lot of people have strong opinions about knitting designers doing basic patterns, but that, you know, that's a them problem. I think I would really like to extend my repertoire of knitting patterns to include some more simple, more basic things. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you do a pattern. And yes, there are already plenty of rib sock patterns out there, but a lot of people find the designers that they like and would prefer to knit those patterns because they like the way they're written. And that's certainly what I'm like. I don't really knit other people's patterns anymore because I don't necessarily have time, but I have my go-tos when I do want to. Petite knit, just because I love the way the patterns are written. They work for me. So should I write this ribbed sock pattern up? I don't know. Maybe when I knit the next pair, I will. Who knows? But that's my latest sock and my second finished object. So whilst we're in sock mode and before my battery runs out, I'll quickly show you my next sock. Oh no, I didn't, my Mercedes socks. Where have they gone? Oh, they're in my drawer upstairs. I should probably go and get those in a second, but they're a very similar vein to these. This is my latest sock cast on, and these are my McLaren socks. I am knitting a pair of socks for every Formula One team. Uh-oh. That was a close one. We nearly lost some stitches, but also my battery died, so I got my Mercedes socks, but we were on these guys. So yes, I'm knitting a pair of socks for every Formula One team, and I'm only working on them whilst watching the Formula One. So that includes practices, quali races, and I'm also including the podcasts that we watch because I just enjoy working on them so much. So these are my McLaren socks, and these are going to be for my husband because his favourite team is McLaren. As a family, we're a pretty strong McLaren team, particularly Lando. We love Lando. He's like the family driver, and my husband and I are going to Silverstone this year. I got him and me tickets for he's got a significant birthday this year, and he doesn't like celebrating his birthdays. He doesn't want a party, he doesn't want attention, so I just thought, you know what, shall I try and get us tickets for Silverstone in the Lando Norris grandstand? And I was successful. One of the 10,000 out of hundreds of thousands of people who applied got the tickets. I'm so excited. So these are my Lando Norris socks, and they're for my husband, which is why they're quite big. I think I ended up doing 68 stitches, and I'm on 2.25mm needles. So it's just a plain vanilla sock, and I am doing an afterthought heel because I've never actually made a successful pair of socks for my husband. So what I wanted to do was do it like this, and then I can get the heel in, and then I can make the foot the perfect length. Also, when I got to this point, it was a very tense moment in the race that we were watching. So I was just like, I don't want to be worrying about heels right now. I'm just going to carry on to an afterthought heel. So the yarn itself, I'm sure I kept the thing. Oh, I can't, I don't think I've got the label anymore, and I can't remember the name of the dyer, but I think I've mentioned it in one of my recent videos, so I should be able to find out. But I got it from Etsy, and it wasn't a dyer I've used before, but I'm very much enjoying how they're working up. I wanted the orange and black, and I wanted a nice even kind of speckle. I didn't really want any pooling, and that's what I got. I think they're quite tigery. They could be like tiger socks if that's the way you were inclined. But I've done a 2x2, it's black so you can't see, a 2x2 cuff. And like I said, I'll do a black afterthought heel and a black wedge toe. So that's my current sock whip. And speaking of which, this is my first finished pair of F1 socks, and it's for my team. And this is what triggered the idea. I saw this yarn shared on the Stephen and Penelope Instagram, and they did a couple of like F1 themed socks. It's not specifically F1 themed, but they were just like, oh, if you liked this team, you could use this yarn to make socks or whatever. And this yarn is from Punk Rock Unicorn. I basically had to import it. Might be the most expensive sock yarn I've ever bought in my life, but it was worth it because I love them. These are my Mercedes socks, and you can see this has got a very specific like pooling technique. I've never made a pair of socks that pull like this before, in this kind of thick spiral, and I absolutely love them. And again, I did the 2x2 black cuff, afterthought heel, wedge toe, so our socks are basically gonna match, and I think that's just adorable. This yarn I struggled with a little bit. I found it much thicker than most sock yarns, and I was on a 2.25 but ended up having to go up to a 2.5 because I was finding it physically difficult to work the yarn, but also the pooling wasn't looking very nice. It was kind of ending up more like a half and half socks with a bit of blending in the middle, and just wasn't that nice. And as soon as I went up a needle size and adjusted my stitch count accordingly, I got this beautiful intentional pooling. So these are my Mercedes socks, and I love them. So that's it. That's what we've got for socks. So now we're going to move on to some more whips. Let's do a garment, shall we? Should we do a garment? Yes, let's do a garment. So I have been working on a cardigan for the past couple of, well, let's say it's months now, really. And this has just been my kind of like as and when project. I've come to the realization recently that though I do enjoy making and wearing garments, it's not what is calling to me at the moment. Never say never. I never put myself in a box. But right now I'm just much more drawn to creating fabrics. So like shawls, scarves, loving socks, that kind of thing. Kids garments, baby garments maybe because they're a lot quicker, but adult garments, they're just not lighting my fire at the moment as a designer, which is fine. And I kind of feel like I often feel like there's a lot of pressure to be churning out garment after garment after garment, but that's just not who I am, and it's not who I need to be a successful designer. But I do still enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the construction. I enjoy the grading. I just had to take the pressure off myself a little bit. So I've been working on this as and when I feel like it, and it has tested me because it's been difficult to write and difficult to find the right finishings for it, but I got there and I'm really, really pleased with it. So without further ado, I would love to show you. Have I shown this? Did I announce this in the last podcast, the new name? It did have a code name, but I'm not going with that name anymore. I'd like to show you my Buttercream Cardigan. Yay, we're going back to the patisserie themed names. And Buttercream just felt like the right word for it. Slightly because of the colour, but also just because of the feel of it. One of my lovely patrons said, oh, well, when you think about what buttercream is, you take something that's solid and you process it into something that is light and fluffy. So I took, you know, a solid string of yarn, processed it into something light and fluffy, and the gauge is very thin, it's very light, very floaty and delicate, and buttercream just felt perfect for it. So I'm very, very happy with it. It is technically a rib texture, but it is, it's mainly pearls that are showing, obviously knit on one side, pearl on the other side, and it has got these lovely kind of edging details that run along the shoulder seams, and we have a faux seam here, ignore that. We have a faux seam down the middle to give it some structure, and it was nice the way it worked because you've got that like knit stitch that runs along the armhole and then comes into the underarm. And the thing that I've been struggling with the most since I last showed you was how to finish this off. Originally I just went straight from the kind of body texture into 1x1 rib, and it looked so rubbish. Honestly, it was like, we can't be having this. It just looked really rubbish. It just looked like unfinished, couldn't be bothered. So I ended up going in and putting this kind of braid finish along the edge, and that is what I showed you in the last podcast, I'm now remembering, because I basically did it the wrong way round and had this side showing, which was looking, oh, it's actually better now I've changed it. So there were a couple of issues. One, my hem and my edging here were smaller than my actual cardigan, so it was causing it to, even after it'd been blocked, causing it to like pillow out on the back because there was more width in the body than there were in the hem, so I had to re-jig my stitch count for the hem. And the way I had done this kind of line of stitches here meant that it looked more like a braid than a row of stacked stitches, and I was really unhappy with it. It's one of those, probably fine, but it's not perfect, and if I can make it perfect, I want it to be perfect, or it's just not going to be there at all. I can't do like half-assed basically, which is probably why I struggle with garments so much, because they have to be so perfect. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Quality over quantity, right? So I managed to get this beautiful braid along the bottom sorted, and I think it just made that transition look intentional and polished, and it reflected the shoulder seam that we've got going on, and it just looked so much better. And then I decided, once I'd done the rib, I did originally do a little bit of Italian bind off, and again, just didn't feel right. It felt unbalanced, it felt unfinished. So I ended up doing a little I-cord bind off along the bottom as well. So it's almost like the rib is framed by these two rows of stitching, very similar to kind of what we've got going on here, but just the other way around. And I'm so pleased. I ripped out that hem so many bloomin' times, re-knit it so many bloomin' times, but it was definitely worth it. Then I had a very similar experience with the button band. I absolutely knew it was going to be a double knit button band right from the off. It couldn't be anything but, and it even lined up the stitches so that you ended up with like a full section of here. So this would be this kind of column stitch next, but it's actually the button band, and making that work across all the sizes was a mental workout for sure. But I actually, I'm obsessed. I don't think I could ever do a rib button band again. No, that's a lie. I think in certain situations it looks really nice, works really well, especially when it's like a plain stockinette kind of body. But in this situation, that double knit just is absolutely gorgeous and stunning. I had to do it 2 or 3 times to get the perfect pickup rate. Something about this gauge, normally you'd be picking up a stitch for every single row on the body, but that just did not work in this circumstance. And then I didn't pick up enough, and then I picked up too many, and eventually we landed on the perfect amount. I, for the first time, did a double knit button band where you don't break the yarn for buttonholes, and I'm very, very pleased with how it turned out. I don't think it looks any different to when you break the yarn for your buttonholes. It's just a different way of working it. Now, I find it's kind of swings and roundabouts when it comes to breaking yarn for working buttonholes in a double knit button band, because yes, this way I don't have any ends to weave in, and also it meant that I could easily rip everything out when I realised that my numbers weren't quite right. So if you're struggling to get gauge for your button band and you need to rip back, it's much easier when you do the buttonholes in this way, because you start with your buttonholes. However, having those ends there means that if you need to adjust the size of your buttonholes, you can do, because you would normally have 2 ends that are coming out from your buttonholes, in which case you can use one to reinforce the buttonholes so that they don't stretch over time, and adjust the size of them by kind of seaming them up a little bit really. Now, you can still go in and reinforce your buttonholes just with some yarn if you really wanted to / needed to, but there's enough positive ease in this cardigan that means you're not going to be putting any strain on the buttonholes anyway. So shall I put it on for thee? Obviously we have no sleeves yet, and we have no buttons yet, but this is where we are at. Let me move my chair out of the way. This is where we are at. So just imagine it's done up. It's got a little positive ease, not masses and masses of it. You can see the back is nice and flat now. There's none of that kind of poofing out that I was getting. And I think it just sits just sits on the body. It's not hugely oversized. I do feel like I could maybe have gone even shorter. I did have to go back in and remove some length as well because it was too long, and I feel like I could probably have gone a bit more, but it also means I've got plenty for the old tucking in, the old French tuck, which I quite like to do sometimes. And yeah, it's not like tight to my body. I probably could block even a little bit more width into it if I wanted to, but I'm kind of happy as it is. I think if I get a second sample made, which I probably will, I'd like one in bright red and or grey. I think it might be grey. I know it's boring, I know it's millennial, but I just love it. I mean, look at me, I'm wearing black and white. I'm trying with the colour, but yeah, I think I would like a grey one or a red one maybe. I think I might go a size up. This is a size 3, so I think my sample I'll have made in a size 4, just so I can show different ease amounts. This is a slightly more fitted version, and then you can do a slightly more oversized version. And I think I will ask my sample knitter to make it a bit shorter in the body as well. Or just say, don't do the hem, just leave the hem and then I'll finish it off. I quite often, when I'm having something sample knit, I'll ask them to not do the cuffs on the sleeves so that I can adjust for my sleeve length for what I need. And in this case, I might do the same on the body. So that's where we're at. Very relaxed, butter yellow, very on trend. Now it just needs the sleeves, which I really need to get round to doing. The sleeves will be worked inside out, which is exciting because then you'll be doing pretty much all knits and like no pearls. Well, no, a little bit of purling, but only every like other round. So teeny amount of purling, and it also makes the decreases easier. Now, I had a sweater version of this that didn't really work out. The stitch counts weren't right, the gauge wasn't right, the yarn wasn't right, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I did work a little bit of sleeve on that sample and learnt some lessons in the process. I think I'm going to go for straight sleeves with no decreasing to have like a big wide cuff. Or we're going to go straight sleeves with a rapid decrease on the cuff, so like slight balloon sleeve vibe. Just because the decreasing in this stitch pattern is tricky and aesthetically not the best, but we'll see. I don't know. I think maybe that's why I've stalled on this project a little bit, because I'm a little bit intimidated by the sleeves, if I'm honest. Should probably tell you what the yarn is before we move on. It is 2 strands of Filcolana Saga held together with a strand of Filcolana Tilia, which is the mohair, and they are both in the shade French Vanilla, which I think is pretty much sold out everywhere now because everyone is knitting in this colour because it's just so beautiful and I love it. I've got a little bit of a tan going on at the moment. I think it looks really nice with a tan with white underneath. Beautiful. I believe anyone can wear this colour if they want. There's a lot of chat about, oh, you know, it doesn't suit blonde, it doesn't suit dark. I think, who cares? You like the colour, you wear the colour. I love it. So there you go, that's where we're at with the Buttercream Cardigan. I just need to take a minute for my camera to cool down because it's having a hissy fit. Back in the room, used my time wisely, ordered some Father's Day presents, and chatting to my daughter's dance teacher about what she has to wear in her dance show, which is in just 2 weeks' time, and I'm so excited. She's gonna be so cute. Anyway, so that was the Buttercream Cardigan. We've got 2 projects left. I'm gonna update you on a previous whip and show you my brand new project because I need some advice, I need some help, and you guys are just the best of that. So, first of all, I'm gonna show you my progress on my Jacques Shawl. Did I show this in the last podcast? I definitely didn't show it in the vlog. I can't remember what I've shown on YouTube and what I've shown on Patreon. Who even knows? If you're not yet part of my Patreon, please feel free to go and have a little look because there is a free trial running, so you can check it out and try before you buy. Let's have a look. Did I include the Jacques Shawl? I think I mentioned it, but I don't think I had cast it on at the time. I just showed the yarn and let you guys know that I was thinking of doing a Jacques Shawl. Well, that has happened. I have cast on the Jacques Shawl, and it is my main whip at the moment. I can't put it down. I'm having so much fun with it. I drew out a sketch of the vision of the idea, and it honestly, it's happening exactly how I wanted it to. It's rare that happens. So I think that's probably why I'm enjoying working on it so much, because it's just flowing. It's just coming out of me. Sounds really wrong. I am writing as I go. I am making sure that I am staying on it with my pattern writing, because the writing of it is so specific. It's row by row, and well, not the whole thing is row by row. The shawl is in sections, and in each section then you have like your instructions, and then you repeat it over and over and over again. But those instructions are line by line, and it's not a way that I'm used to writing. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a brain challenge, and I stalled on it for a little while because I was a little bit scared of the next section, but now I've got it going. I'm just enjoying it so much, and it is flying off the needles. Now it's going to be a little bit tricky to show because I've got 3 balls of yarn attached currently, but just as a little reminder, obviously I showed you the red one. This is the Jacques scarf, which is like a little small round the neck. Comes in 2 sizes actually. I've got both of the ones I've got are small actually, but it comes in 2 ways, just the one colour throughout, or you have this kind of reverse option which uses like 50 grams of each colour exactly, so great for scraps. And when I finished these, I loved the way they look so much, and I just wanted to expand on that idea and kind of just develop and see where I could go with this technique that I've been doing with stripes and intarsia and double knit edging. So I had a little sketch, I had a little play, and I'm very excited to show you what I'm doing now. You may be shocked about these colours as I'm sat here in a beige room. Put your sunglasses on, you're not ready. I'm not even sure why I went for these colours, but I love them and I'm having fun. So I'm going to do it upside down actually, because it just gets more and more as we go. So this is how it starts. A little different. We've got a little bit of a colour block here on the tip. You can see we've still got the I-cord on one side, the double knit on the other side, and the striping sequence. But then as we get bigger, oh, where's it going? What are we doing? I just love it so much. Oh my goodness, I can't even. I didn't want to make the Jacques shawl just be the Jacques scarf but bigger, because most knitters could figure that out themselves, and it just doesn't seem right as a designer. I wanted it to be in the Jacques family, but a continuation of a different pattern, a different vibe, but in the same family. And I'm just having so much fun. I'm basically just kind of playing around with colour blocking and stripes and shapes, and it's just so satisfying to knit. I can't even tell you. Yes, it's worked with intarsia, but I promise you it is not difficult. I was thinking about this earlier, and I would put this type of intarsia as way easier than colour work, way easier than cabling. It's just easy. It's not physically difficult, and once you have done it and once you've got your head around it, it's very, very instinctive. You just, honestly, I know it looks like a lot, but once you, like I mentioned earlier, once you get through the first repeat in each section, so this is a section, this is a section, this is a section. Once you get through the repeat, it just becomes instinctive. It's very easy to read your work, to know what to do when. And like with the Jacques scarf, there will be a specific pattern specific tutorial to go with it. So you can actually see exactly what you're supposed to be doing for this specific project. And honestly, I don't think I've had any pattern support requests from the Jacques scarf yet, and it's been out for a month. And yeah, not a single request yet. And that's a really, really good sign. So if you are intimidated by intarsia, please don't be. It's so fun. The only difficult thing about it is yarn management, if anything. And I even include in the pattern the best way to manage your yarns throughout this project. I currently have 3 balls on the go. There is a moment where we have 5 balls on the go, but it's minimum. Something that I pride myself on, and I feel is part of my core identity of a designer, is quite often the aesthetics and the finished look of my designs are decided by the enjoyability of knitting it, the experience, the process. So when I was working this and I was in one of the sections which had 5 balls of yarn at once, I was thinking, this is fine, it's not difficult, but we don't want to be doing this for too long now, do we? And then the next section is only 3 balls of yarn at once, and it's like a nice, big, easy section. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm a little bit bored of this. Let's move on. Let's change it up. Let's do something different. So it's very much one of those moorish patterns where it's easy to commit to memory, easy to just pick up and put down. But once it starts to get a little bit, we get something new, we get something different. And that's something that I absolutely love when it comes to a knitting project, is that kind of constantly changing. I think maybe that's why I get a little bit bored with garments, because it's like once you've done like the shaping and all the fun, interesting bits, it's just like body, sleeve. And it just doesn't light my fire. I guess that's my ADHD brain. It just needs constant change, constant stimulation. And this is just exactly that. I just love the colours. This is Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in blue hydrangea and either scarlet red or red scarlet. I can't remember which. And I think I have lost one of my blue balls. One of my balls of blue. I'm not sure where it is, but I just can't. I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. I cannot wait for this to be wearable. I absolutely want to make a second sample, but in more neutral colours, just to work with my wardrobe a little bit more. But I also feel like I could make this work for 3 colours. This is currently 2 colours, but I'm like, you could have your edging just as one single colour. You could literally have like all of this is just 2 colours, and then just have this edge in like a pop. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like a white and a grey, and then like a hot pink, or like something really different, or black along the edge. Amazing. Or we could have, this could be a completely different colour. You could have this here, this a different colour, this a different colour. Obviously the more colours you introduce, it's going to make yarn management a little bit more difficult, but I think it could be so fun. So I can see myself making a neutral one of maybe white, grey, and maybe navy, or I don't know, burgundy or something, or maybe just like dark grey, like, ooh, I bought some yarns for a different project, which would be a perfection for this. I don't know, I'm going to the big flock this weekend, so maybe I will be inspired by some of the yarns we see there. If you're going to the big flock in Bristol and you're there on Saturday, do come say hi. I'm very excited. I was going to go under the radar and just like not tell anyone I was going and just like, I don't know, put a hat on, but that's boring. I love meeting you guys and saying hi, and that's so fun. So yes, if you're at the big flock, say hi, and hopefully I'll have some lovely yarns that we can use for sample 2 of this. But yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm so excited by this. Just loving the way it works. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it too, because I think it's fabulous. So, final project. Yeah, that's definitely just water now. Final project. Now this is very, very different to anything I've ever done before in my life. And yeah, it's not knitting. I'm back in my crochet era. Now, I feel like I would normally say I'm not a crocheter, but I now feel like I can say I can crochet. I've always been able to physically do it, but it's always been very, very simple things. I'm working on a crochet blanket that's literally just like single crochets and chains, and like that's it. Very simple, looks beautiful, but nothing too difficult. This has absolutely upped my crochet game to the next level. I can now read crochet patterns, and I now instinctively know what a single crochet is, double crochet, triple, like obviously depending on the terminology that's being used, but I feel like I can confidently read a crochet pattern now and make what is there. I've started doing these by just finding video tutorials, and then built up a bit of confidence, built up a bit of knowledge, and then I'm now just like free online patterns. So I have been making lots of granny squares, decorative, lacy, specifically granny squares are the ones I like the most, for a very specific project which I don't think is gonna happen anymore, but I've got a better idea, I think. So here's just 2. This is going to be very difficult to show you. What am I thinking? Oh, why? a white granny square on a white background. What? I'm gonna need something. I'm gonna grab a pillow. So, it's got a bed next to me, just my pillow. So you can actually see, here are my first two grannies. Oh yes, that's better. The most professional podcast you've ever seen in your life. So here are my first two that I did actually, and oh my god, this one, it's so tight. The tension on this one is so tight, it's so dense. And that's the second one. This is the willow granny square, this is the tulip granny square. I will link the tutorials that I used for these on YouTube below because they're very, very good, very easy to follow. Really enjoyed doing them. But these are the first two that I made. And then I have many more, which I have yet to weave the ends in or attach to anything. We have this guy, which I really enjoyed. This is really easy. A lot of these I've had to extend as well to make them big enough. This one was challenging. This really was like a brain workout and I had to extend it a lot. I've made a bundle on Ravelry of all the ones that I found, so I'll link that bundle below. I haven't made all of the ones that are in there, but any ones that I do like and have found and that are on Ravelry I've put in that bundle. That's another one. That one doesn't actually look that great, does it? I've gone for a mixture of more like dense ones and more holey, lacy ones. I really like that one. I really enjoyed that one. I think I'll make that one again. Just very simple, beautiful. I think you can see they kind of get better and better in quality as we go. That's just kind of like a square one that just repeats and gets bigger and bigger. But the plan for these was to, let's get that out of the background. There we go. The plan for these was to make an absolute butt ton of granny squares and sew them all together and make a sunshade for my decking in my back garden. It's quite a big space. I got very excited by this idea. It was actually my friend's idea as a bit of a joke, but I thought, hang on a minute, wouldn't it just be amazing? I know they do it a lot in European countries as a community. They'll do these big sheets of crochet and suspend them between buildings to cast shade, and they create this very kind of like beautiful canopy. And I just got very much carried away with this idea and loved the thought of it. And I've actually been really, really enjoying working on it. They're so satisfying, they're so quick and easy and just really, really enjoyable. The yarn I've been using is the James C. Brett Craft Cotton, ideal for dishcloths and crochet. My thinking was it's going to be outside. It's not going to be outside permanently. We would put it up and put it down as we were using it. It was basically going to be a big triangle with hooks in the ends. We currently have posts with hooks in them that we had installed by our builders for our string lights that go above our garden. Maybe I'll put in a little thing here of the space that I was envisioning this going. So I was just going to make a big triangle and then attach it to some like ropes on the edges and string it up with some like carabiners or something. And I mentioned this, I talked through this in my vlog and I said to you guys, have I missed anything here? Is this a bad idea? What do you think? I just couldn't decide if it was a good idea or not, and got loads of feedback from you guys, and I have come to the decision that it is not a good idea. The main worry being the weight of it. I have got these are 8 inches each. I haven't even measured the space yet, but I've got 1, 2, 3. I was basically getting 2.5 granny squares out of 100 grams, and I was gonna need like a heck of a lot of granny squares, and I can just imagine it being like 2-3 kilos, and I think that's too much. I had a little research into actual like cloth sales that you get, and they tend to be made out of very, very lightweight materials. I was imagining like a thick canvas, but they're not. They're very thin, very light, and I think there's a specific reason for that. The other issue was to stop it from bowing in the middle, the tension on it was going to have to be very tight, and I don't think the hooks that we've got installed are going to withstand that tension. They're not made for that. They're there for very small, lightweight string lights, and I could just picture these disasters. Also, since I started and we actually have that, we've been using that space, There are a lot of birds and there are a lot of pigeons, and I'm sure you can use your imagination. And even though this is washable, to get it all wet and all dry is going to be madness, and I don't even think it would fit in my washing machine and tumble dryer. So even though in theory it was a fun idea, and maybe I can rethink it, maybe cotton is just a bad idea. Someone recommended using acrylic, and I feel like that might be better because would it stretch a lot? Would it grow a lot? It would definitely be more lightweight, that's for sure. This is a DK weight yarn, by the way, and I've been using a 5.5mm hook, although I do now need to go down to a 5mm hook because my tension has relaxed. Now I've got used to it, now I've got better at it. And I did that so it would be a looser gauge, so I'd get a bigger square for less yarn and bigger holes and all that kind of thing. But I just don't think it's a good idea, which is a shame because I think it would have been absolutely beautiful. So if you have any ideas for how I could kind of make this happen potentially, but maybe slightly differently, I don't know. I thought about like maybe joining them each at a corner and kind of like having crochet and then a hole and then a crochet and then a hole, so almost like a checkerboard, but then you're going to end up with some funny old tan lines if you sat under there. It kind of defeats the point of getting the shade. So yeah, I don't know. If you've got any better ideas, please let me know. This has not been a waste of time though. I've got a much cuter idea for what I'm going to use these for. I am going to use these to make a tent for my daughter. Now I put a picture of these on my Instagram and asked people to guess what I was making, and someone said, are you making a teepee? And I said, no, but I want to now you mentioned it. And I was like, if this idea doesn't work out, I am going to make a teepee. And then I looked into the teepee, and making them into a circle is just beyond my skills, I think. However, on Etsy you can get little wooden frames. They're called sleepover tents. So it's like a little mini tent, and the idea is it's just a very thin wooden frame and you just drape like a blanket over it, so it's like a temporary thing. And I'm going to make basically a big rectangle of granny squares and kind of make like a tube at each end to put the wooden dowel through, and then I can just put it over this little wooden frame. Wasn't even very I haven't ordered it yet, but not very expensive. I think about £30. So when you look at like play tents for kids, they're expensive, and it'll be put up, put down, super portable, and I think my daughter is just going to absolutely love it. She loves making making tents, making dens, and she loves being outside in our garden, and I just think it will be perfect and gorgeous. I would also like to make some crochet pillows for the outside. So if you know of any really beautiful crochet pillow designs, please do leave them in the comments below. I thought about just making like 4 granny squares and sewing them together, but I think I would like it to be a little bit more cohesive than that, like one single motif on the square for the pillow. So yeah, let me know if you know of any beautiful crochet pillow patterns, because I'm just loving it. It's so nice. It tickles my brain in a different way to knitting. I always try and make sure I have a non-work related project on the go at all times, just for my mental health. That's usually socks, and socks really scratch and itch and they're very portable, but I like the idea of a bigger project. So that is everything. That's where we're at. Woo! I feel like I've done a lot of talking and I have no idea how long I've been filming, but we've got one more thing to do, and I haven't done this for the past few episodes because I've just not been able to, but I've got my Instagram saves and I've already gone through them and I've checked them, and I've got a few beautiful designs from other designers that I have noticed on Instagram that I would like to share with you. So get my phone, press screen record, and off we go. Okay, so I've got 4 Instagram saves for you today. 3 garments and 1 fun thing that I saw that I liked, that I thought you might like. So we're going to start with, first up we have a cardigan from Andrew Mowry. Now I have, what's the word I'm looking for? Admired the work of Andrew Mowry from afar for quite a while. Never knit one of her patterns. I've done one of her shawls, but I heavily modified it. So I'm not even sure it's the same thing. But I've loved her work from afar from a long time. I've never actually knit one. And when I first saw this cardigan, I just felt like, oh, I could just see it in my wardrobe. Now, I saved this quite a while ago, so let's see if we can find some better pictures. Here we go. So it's a very kind of it's wintry. It's not something I would make anytime soon, but it just looks so cozy and comfortable, and I think that's why I'm very much drawn to it. I love the tall collar. There's just something about it. The double knit button band, the chunky raglan, and I'm not normally a raglan girly. And also, I just love the colour. I just love the grey. I can't resist anything grey. But yeah, I just thought it looked lovely. And I'm like, is this the thing that gets me to make a Drea Renee knitting pattern? I'd love to have this for the winter. I'd love to see it with the collar kind of open, not just up. But it's basically like turtleneck cardigan, and I don't feel like I've seen that recently or ever. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying this is the first person to do a turtleneck cardigan, but I'm just saying it's the first time I've seen it, and I really like the way it looks. Oh yeah, man, I could just see myself living in that in the winter. Just beautiful. Very, very beautiful. So we need to check sizing, of course. So it's the DRK Everyday Cardi. And, oh, it's sport, 22 stitch. Oh, okay. It's a 3.75 needle size, so that would be a commitment. I recently went to an event in Bath, like an industry event, and we were talking about kind of finer gauge garments, and I was saying how I've been struggling with garments and wearing garments. I often find them too thick, too heavy, and the lady I was speaking to was like, you just need to knit a fingering weight jumper and your life will be changed. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. But I'm like, I knit most of my garments and most of my things on a 4mm needle, but then I'm like, 3.75mm, oh no, it's so tiny, it's such a small gauge, I couldn't do it. It's really not that different, is it? Finished bust circumference goes from 86.5 to 178 centimeters. Perfect. Recommended ease is 4 to 8 inches, so super standard, super size inclusivity as is normal for Andrea Mowry. Wonderful. So the next thing, we've got another cardigan. Truly in my cardigan era. I feel like a lot of people are in their cardigan era. They're just so much more practical than jumpers, I find. Now this one is so special. I love this design. I remember watching Leah develop it as she was like making it and posting about it, and it boggles my mind. This is reasonably newly released, 10th of April, and this is the Pearly cardigan. And oh, it's one of those, it's like an elevated basic with a really interesting design feature that you could do so much with it. And I can't figure out how she did it, and I love that about a pattern. I love it when I'm like, how? Like, I can figure out most things at this point in my knitting career, and I'm like, how? So I'm obsessed. Let's see if we can find some more pictures. Yes, there's another one. So it's like your simple kind of round neck, but it's not a V-neck, but it's a gentle round neck cardigan. Very simple, but there's amazing piping detail that kind of frames the whole thing on the cuffs as well. She's doing corrugated rib, which is a beautiful thing, but you could just do normal rib. And it's just, it's amazing, the contrast. I'd also love to see it without the contrast. If it was all in one colour, I think would be so fun. And I think it could be really lovely in like a neutral kind of beige, then with like a red piping or like a hot pink piping. It's just, I think it's so cool. I've never seen anything like it, and I think it's fantastic. Again, definitely size inclusive because I have checked. Let's just confirm what we've got. It is DK weight, 4mm needles, 80 centimeters up to 170 centimeters with a recommended ease of 4 inches. So again, brilliant size inclusivity, such an interesting pattern. Oh look, hello. That's one of mine. And Leah's just wonderful. She's sampling it for me, she's testing it for me. She's just an excellent creator, highly recommend. And she has a podcast, so I will link that below as well. So go and show Leah some support. And then we've got, now this is a fun, interesting one. This is someone's sweet shop project that I saw and had to save because I loved what they did with the border. Now, I don't normally go for borders on the sweet shop. I really like the kind of clean non-bordered look. Obviously I'm going to add an I-cord to the border of the one I'm making, and that's to match the cardigan, but I was very, very tempted to do something similar to this. What she's basically done is she's done 2 rows of single crochet all the way around, and then done like a crochet picot edging, and I just think it looks so lovely. I really, really like it. I would never have thought to do that because I feel like the Sweet Shop is so graphic and solid. So to then add in that kind of pretty frilly edging, I just wouldn't have thought it would look good, but I really, really like it. So this has been made by Knitsville. I think it's gorgeous. And in the comments, I noticed that she had described what she did and supplied a tutorial for what she did as well. So if you're looking for a different way to finish off your Sweet Shop, then beautiful. And I'll link her Instagram below as well. And then finally, we've got one more garment, and this is something that I've been keeping my eye on for quite a while. This is one of the latest designs from Sophie, the Knit Pearl Girl. I know you've heard me bang on about her many, many times before. And obviously all of her designs are wonderful, and I love something striped. Obviously it's my kind of vibe. And I've been very intrigued about this construction for a while as well. But the thing that really got me on this was a picture that she posted of her wearing the brown one, this one. And I was like, oh, I really liked the simplicity of it, the fit, the not super oversized, the fitted sleeve, the slightly shorter sleeve. I was just grabbed by this picture in particular, and I love the colourway, and I think it's feeding into the part of my soul that wants more basics in my wardrobe as a designer and just as somebody who knits. And I would really love to make this in a single colour, maybe in a stripe, but I'm really drawn to the single colour. I think I would wear it all the time, if I'm completely honest with you. Of course, let's check out the dimensions. It's Sophie, so it will absolutely be size inclusive. Obviously you've got a short sleeve version, long sleeve version, and we have got chest measurement is from, that's in inches, where's the centimetre, actual circumference of the chest, 87.5 centimetres up to 163, so brilliant. Size inclusive as always, and oh, I just love it. If you're looking for knitwear patterns that are in depth, give you everything you need to know, then Sophie's patterns are just fantastic. So there we go. That rounds everything off. I feel like this is going to be a long one, and I know I say that every time, so take a drink in knitting podcaster bingo. What can you expect from me coming up? I don't really know, if I'm honest. I'm at this point in my year where I really tend to slow down a little bit, if I'm honest. I tend to go hard from like September to March, releases every month. Lots going on because it's my time of year, it's my cozy time of year, I just love it. So by the time I get to this time of year, I really like to slow it down a little bit, and I'm working on the future stuff. I've got some really fun collabs for the end of the year. I'm part of an advent this year, which is really exciting, and yeah, I'm just kind of following the dopamine at the moment, as always. Content wise, I really enjoyed vlogging for you guys, so I might do that again soon. I'm tempted to do a little vlogging series, maybe just like 5 days or a week of daily vlogs. I don't really know, it all depends on how I feel and what's going on at the moment, but yes, next from me here on YouTube will either be a little vlog or another little podcast. So let me know what you would like to see from me. If you've got any video suggestions, I'm always looking for new ideas. I know I mentioned it before, I'm also over on Patreon where I release 2 videos a month, usually a vlog and something a little bit more knitty focused, we'll see. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, this catch up as to what I've been working on, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So I would love it if you left me a comment or if you subscribed, that would be wonderful. Winner of the competition, don't forget to get in touch with me. I will leave it open until the next podcast, and if I don't hear from you in that time, I'll try and give you a nudge, but I might have to redraw if I don't hear from you, but hopefully I will. Congratulations again. Thank you to everyone for all your support on everything that I do, whether it's watching a video, buying a pattern, sending me a nice message. I appreciate it so much, I really, really do. So thank you for being here. Have a fabulous May, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.